There's never been a better time to be a horror movie fan. The sheer number of films available on VOD, subscription, and streaming services means that the biggest challenge viewers have is deciding what to watch. We've all spent way too much time scrolling through page after page of movies in search of the right thing. With so much content hitting services all the time, it's very easy to miss some great movies. From ghost stories and monster movies to insane Asian shockers and disturbing Turkish gore fests, here's 10 of the best horror movies you might have missed that can be streamed right now on Netflix. Let's get scared. But first, make sure to subscribe to GameSpot Universe for breakdowns on other horror-filled shows such as Castle Rock and American Horror Story. From Stranger Things to the adaptation of Stephen King's It, there's no denying that the 1980s is one of the most popular decades for horror filmmakers to get nostalgic about. The Void taps directly into the gore-laden monster movies of the 80s, with a clear influence from such cult favorites as The Thing and From Beyond. The film takes place overnight in a small hospital, where an unlucky group of people are besieged by both the sinister cult and tentacled monsters from some alternate dimension. With a John Carpenter-esque score and loads of gloopy physical effects, The Void is an absolute blast. Not to be confused with a recent Hollywood comedy, this tag is directed by the hugely prolific Japanese filmmaker Sion Sono. Sono is known for pushing the boundaries of taste when it comes to sex and violence in his movies, and Tag is no exception. It opens with an incredible sequence in which a busload of school kids are decapitated en masse and gets crazier from there as a young girl finds herself trapped in a strange and violent game. It makes absolutely no sense, but fans of weird subversive horror will love it. Another enjoyable dose of 80s-inspired horror, this quirky chiller resurrects the long-forgotten concept of the VCR board game, in which players had to watch a series of VHS videos while playing a game. In this case, it's a horror-themed game named Beyond the Gates, which must be played by a pair of estranged brothers trying to find their missing dad. Genre icon Barbara Crampton plays the game's host, and the movie has enough charm, gore, and crazy neon visuals to make up for the low budget and a few variable performances. Director Oz Perkins might be the son of the legendary psycho actor Anthony Perkins, but his 2 movies to date have seen the filmmaker step easily out of his dad's shadow. Having made the intense and disturbing The Black Coat's Daughter, Perkins followed it with this Netflix original. It's an old-fashioned gothic chiller in which a nurse comes to a remote house to look after the old infirm author who lives there. Of course, some weird stuff starts happening. Perkins successfully avoids many of the cliches of the genre and delivers a subtle, atmospheric movie that'll appeal to fans of classic horror. Prolific director, writer, and actor Mark Duplass is best known for his work on indie dramas such as Jeff, Who Lives at Home, and the HBO series Togetherness. But he's also the man behind this pair of twisted found-footage horror comedies. Duplass co-wrote both films with director Patrick Brice, and he stars as a strange man called Joseph, who in the first movie places an ad to hire a videographer for the week. The bizarre, ghoulish events of Creep led directly onto the even funnier and more unsettling Creep 2, which puts a fascinating spin on the first movie's plot. Both films walk a fine line between uncomfortable humor and genuine scares, and are anchored by Duplass's brilliantly unnerving performance. You'll laugh, jump, and cringe, usually in the same scene. Body horror master David Cronenberg was clearly an influence on this strange French shocker about a young boy who lives in a seaside hospital with a load of other kids, all of whom are forced to undergo strange surgical procedures. It's a weird and unsettling experience, and at times is as much an art movie as a straight horror film, but it has a unique, disturbing power and lingers in the mind long after it finishes. Baskin is an intense, stylish head trip from the warped mind of rising Turkish filmmaker Can Evernol. It takes its influence from the likes of David Lynch, Dario Argento, and H.P. Lovecraft and delivers a story about a group of cops who find themselves at the mercy of a deranged cult when they answer an emergency call. It's packed with surreal, nightmarish imagery and is definitely not for the faint of heart, which of course makes it a must-see. When it comes to uncomfortable dinner parties, it's hard to think of one worse than that in The Invitation. Karen Kusama's tense, blackly funny horror thriller has a simple setup. A group of old friends reconvene for an evening of food, drink, and conversation after many years. But it's clear early on that something is very wrong, and in particular with the host's new husband and his creepy friend, superbly played by Zodiac's John Carroll Lynch. To say any more would spoil the movie's many dark delights, but it's a brilliantly controlled piece of filmmaking that builds to a gripping conclusion and knockout final twist. Some of the weirdest, wildest, and most visually stunning genre movies have come from South Korea over the past 15 years, and The Wailing is no exception. It's a hugely ambitious, gripping mashup of serial killer mystery, social satire, and wild exorcism movie in which a policeman investigates an outbreak of mysterious deaths in a small town. It's stunningly directed by Na Hong-jin, who previously helmed the equally impressive action movie The Yellow Sea. The film is long, a whopping 156 minutes, but it delivers more scares, tension, twists, and dark laughs than anything released in the West for some time. One of the best horror movies of the past couple years, Under the Shadow is a wonderfully effective ghost story with a fascinating historical setting, namely post-revolutionary Iran in the 1980s. A mother is trapped in her home during a period of heavy fighting in Tehran, but unfortunately for her, there's an evil spirit in there too who wants to claim her child. The film works brilliantly as both a real-world drama and a terrifying horror movie, making it an essential watch for all fans of the genre. What are your favorite Netflix horror films that you've seen, and what are you going to be checking out? Let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time. Later, guys. Peace.